everybody. Thanks so much for checking in with us here. Chris McKinnon, along with our political analyst, Jon Keller. Jon, another crazy week in politics. I feel like we're on repeat when we say this, right? And it's hard to kind of narrow down topics to talk to you about because I want to talk about everything.
I know.
All right, it was a short week, too, because we had the Memorial Day holiday. But Roseanne, this is a huge topic. Her tweet against Valerie Jarrett. Let's talk a little bit about the fallout and the impacts and what you kind of have made of this whole situation that unfolded this week.
Well, you know, everybody knew, or should have known, long before the Roseanne reboot came on, that Roseanne was kind of out there on Twitter and on social media, big on conspiracy theories. Remember Pizzagate, the alleged pizza place in Washington where Hillary Clinton and other top Democrats were running a child porn ring. I mean, you know, crazy stuff. So no surprise, this was bound to happen. The interesting thing is that President Trump and other conservatives kind of got ahead of themselves when the initial ratings were so boffo, saying, well, this is an affirmation of Trump and everything we're trying to do. It turns out that certainly in Hollywood, and I think generally across the country, there just isn't the kind of patience with comparing distinguished African Americans to apes that there might once have been in America. And so the whole thing was just a disaster. A lot of people, I should say, have said, well, what about Samantha Bee?
Right.
And the disgusting, vulgar remarks she made about Ivanka Trump. If it were up to me, she'd be fired too. At some point, someone's got to set some standards, but, you know, so be it.
Yeah, so be it is right. The whole thing, kind of watching it unfold, was pretty wild because it was a pretty swift response from ABC canceling her show.
Well, you know, the president of ABC is an African-American woman, and I think maybe that was a little bit of a bad break for Roseanne, although she was one of the ones most actively boosting the reboot when it came back on.
Right.
But, you know, maybe Hollywood is starting to get a little concerned about their branding as well.
One more quick question about this. Do you think that this kind of is one of those things where, you know, it took people to kind of say, okay, wait, hold on, we want to stop back, we want to push back a little bit. We talk a lot about how private sector changes a lot faster than government changes. Do you think this might have been a referendum on okay, enough of this, we got to set some standards here?
Well, look, whatever immediate personal reaction that the woman who runs ABC had or other executives may have had, I'm sure, in fact, it's been reported that they immediately started hearing from advertisers.
Right.
And as we've noted in the past, as corporations and businesses appear to be a little more sensitive and quick to react to changes in public opinion than government and politicians do. This might have been one of those cases, Chris.
All right, so let's talk about the Robert Mueller Russia investigation. This has been something that I guess, you know, things have been trickling out. This week kind of seemed like a little faster pace with information coming out about where the investigation stands and people's theories on it. And then, of course, the president wants it over and done with, and Rudy Giuliani wants it over and done with by September 1st. So
yeah, well, that's not going to happen. You know, a lot of people are upset about the president's Twitter habit, and certainly it's been a disaster for him in many ways. I appreciate it as someone trying to figure out what's actually going on, because I think President Trump tends to be very open in his Twitter feed, and the panic level has palpably accelerated since Michael Cohen, his longtime personal attorney, had his home and office raided, and they seized all sorts of materials. Between that and indications that we have that, first of all, that the Mueller probe is continuing to flip people and that they're continuing to reach deep into his business dealings, you know, and now add in the extra factor of all this talk about presidential pardons.
Right.
It's been noted, we pointed it out on the air the other night, that several of the people pardoned by President Trump so far, including the latest, this conservative pundit Dinesh D'Souza, were people who'd been prosecuted by James Comey, the former FBI director, or his allies. So is there a message being sent by the president that, hey, you know, clam up, guys? If so, it's coming a little late because people like Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor, Gates, the understudy to Manafort, the former campaign manager, they've already cut deals, and they've been singing like canaries, presumably. it feels like it's coming to a head, Chris. Certainly it is in terms of presidential anxiety over it.
You mentioned that to me last week when we were talking. You said his Twitter just keeps getting more and more kind of, yikes, what am I going to do?
And
right?
you can tell. More capital letters, more exclamation marks, more direct attacks. Giuliani, I think, is advocating more of that kind of thing. Is he going to try to fire Mueller or Mueller's overseer, Rod Rosenstein? Is he going to try to fire Jeff Sessions? Or pardon some of these principals? Yeah. If any or all of that happens, this is going to go to a whole new level.
All right. Of course, we'll have to stay tuned and watch and see what happens.
Absolutely, you have to stay tuned to WBZ.
And thank goodness we have Jon, who's watching all of it for us, because it's just coming at us at such a crazy pace.
Thank goodness there's still beer.
Thank goodness, right, Jon? All right. Thanks so much for checking in with us, and we'll see you next week. Appreciate it.
Thank you.